She confronted me after 15 years and said, "You promised to marry me." I didn't expect to see her again. Not after 15 years. Not after the silence. Not after the promise we made at 10 years old and buried at 11. But life has a strange way of circling back, only when it knows the impact will be deepest. That evening, rain soaked the city like it was washing something old and stubborn off its skin. I had just locked my shop and stepped outside when I saw a figure waiting under the flickering street lamp. Stillness, shadow, a familiarity I couldn't place, until she stepped forward. And then my breath broke. It was her, Ayla, the girl I once believed the world revolved around. The girl who disappeared without explanation. The girl who carried half of my childhood in her hands when she left. She looked older, sharper, sculpted by time. But her eyes? They were exactly the same. The storm inside them hadn't changed, not for a second. She whispered my name like she wasn't sure she was allowed to say it. Arhan? Something inside me shifted, something I thought I buried long ago. I didn't speak at first, I only stared. Then she said the sentence that cut through the night like a blade. "You promised to marry me." The rain suddenly felt louder, as if the whole city held its breath for my response. I could have laughed, I could have been angry, I could have walked away. But instead, I stepped closer, slow, controlled, intentional. And does that promise still count? My voice barely rose above a whisper. Her eyes softened. That's why I came. But something felt wrong. No one returns after 15 years without a reason darker than nostalgia. And I could feel it. I could smell it. A truth shadowing her every breath. This wasn't a reunion. This was the beginning of something else. Something buried. Something dangerous. She followed me inside my shop, her footsteps hesitant, mine steady. I brewed tea neither of us drank. She kept glancing at me, like she was afraid the moment she blinked, I disappeared. Finally, she spoke. "I looked for you." A lie. I could hear it in the tremble of her voice. People who search don't take 15 years. "For how long?" I asked, keeping my face unreadable. Her fingers tightened around the teacup. "Long enough." "Then why the silence?" Her jaw clenched. She looked cornered. "I couldn't come back then." "Why now?" Her breath hitched. "Because I don't have anyone left." There it was, one piece of the truth. But only one. "What happened, Ayla?" I asked quietly. "Why did you disappear?" She didn't answer. Instead, she slid her sleeve up. Bruises. Dark, old, deliberate. My pulse stopped. "Ayla? Who did that?" She didn't meet my eyes when she whispered, "My fiancé." Fiancé. The word lodged in my throat. So that was it. She didn't come for me. She came because she was running. Not toward me. Away from someone else. Yet I didn't move. Didn't touch her. Didn't comfort her. I simply watched the rain trail down the window. "You're engaged," I said calmly, each syllable cut from ice. I left him. Why? Because he tried to destroy me. Destroy. Not hurt, not break. Destroy. There was a story here, stitched with fear and silence. But before I could ask, she said softly, "You were the only person I ever trusted. I needed to find you." Something inside me shifted painfully. The part I thought was dead began to stir. But trust isn't a gift, it's a currency, and she owed me answers. She stayed the night, on my couch. I didn't touch her, didn't go near her, but I watched her breathing in the dark. She slept restlessly, whispering my name, whispering sorry, whispering, "Don't let him find me." That told me everything. Fear that deep doesn't grow in a day. By morning, she avoided my gaze. "Ayla," I said low, "tell me the truth." She hesitated. Her hands shook. "He wasn't always like this. He was gentle at first. Charming," she swallowed. "But the moment I agreed to marry him, he became someone else." "And you stayed?" "I had no one else." Then she looked up, eyes full of something that almost broke me. "I thought of you every night." A dangerous confession. One meant to soften me, to make me feel special, needed. But I wasn't the boy she left behind. I had become someone colder, sharper, a man who didn't fall for pretty words whispered in the dark. "You're not telling me everything," I said. She froze. Then her voice cracked. "He told me if I ever left him, he'd destroy the man I loved. The man she loved." My jaw tightened, because I knew. I felt it. She was referring to me. I should have pushed her away right then. But instead, I whispered, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Her eyes glistened. "Because you moved on. You forgot me." "No," I said. "I learned to live without you. That's different." Ayla stepped closer, too close. "Do you still want me?" she whispered. My breath slowed. "I don't chase ghosts," I said. Her face fell. "But," I added, "if the ghost chooses to stay alive, I don't turn away." Tears slipped down her cheek. For a second, the past felt real again. But the truth was coming, and it wasn't the truth she rehearsed. The next day, I noticed details. A mark on her neck shaped not like a bruise, but a fingerprint. Her phone missing its SIM. A wedding ring hidden in her bag, not worn. A document folded too neatly to be accidental. She wasn't running from a fiancé. She was running from a contract. That night, after she fell asleep again, I opened the document from her bag. A marriage certificate, signed, stamped, official, dated 4 months ago. My stomach turned. She wasn't engaged. She was married. She lied. Not partially, completely. The bruises were real, but the story she fed me wasn't. And then the second page slipped out. Pregnancy report, a positive one. I stared at it until my vision blurred. And then everything made sense. She didn't come to me because she loved me. She came because she was hiding a child that wasn't mine. Because she needed someone to shield her from her husband. Because she remembered the boy who once promised to marry her. The boy who would have died for her. But I wasn't that boy anymore. I folded the papers silently, stood up, went to the couch, and sat there, watching her sleep until morning. My mind cold, my body calm, my heart emptied. When dawn touched the window, she opened her eyes and smiled softly. "Good morning, Arhan." I placed the folded papers next to her. Her smile died. Color drained from her face. She didn't speak. Neither did I. Silence cut deeper than any words. She finally whispered, "You went through my things?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I don't believe in fairy tales." Her eyes filled with panic. "Arhan, I can explain. I'm listening." She opened her mouth, but nothing came. Then she broke. Completely. I didn't know who else to run to. "That's not an explanation." "It was all falling apart," she whispered. "I thought maybe you'd still care." "Not enough to raise another man's child." She flinched like I slapped her. Tears spilled fast, desperate. "I didn't want this marriage," she cried. "My father forced it. He needed a business deal. I was trapped. And pregnancy?" She covered her face. He made sure I couldn't leave. I exhaled slowly. So you ran to me because you needed protection, not love. She froze. I watched the truth settle in her eyes. You wanted safety, I continued, not me. That's not true, she screamed softly. Then tell me, I said, if your marriage was perfect, would you have come? Silence. A silence louder than any answer. I nodded. There it is. Her hands trembled violently. Arhan, please, I'm scared. He'll find me. Yes, I said quietly, he will. Her eyes widened in terror. Not today, not tomorrow, but eventually, yes. And you won't help me? She whispered, voice cracking apart. I leaned forward, elbows on my knees, voice cold. I don't save people who only remember me when they're bleeding. Her breath shattered. I stood up. She grabbed my wrist, as if holding on to the last piece of stability she had left. Arhan, she begged, don't leave me alone. Please, please. I stared at her hand holding mine. Then I spoke the most brutal truth of my life. I would have burned the world for you once, but you left me with ashes. Her grip loosened, her body crumbled, and for the first time in 15 years, I walked away from her. I didn't abandon her completely. I'm not that cruel. I called a women's protection NGO, one that specialized in housing abused wives. I ensured she'd be safe. I arranged psychological counseling. I even paid for her medical care, but I didn't go to see her. Not once. 2 months passed. One morning, I received a letter at my shop. The handwriting was unmistakable. I opened it carefully. Inside were only 3 sentences. You were right. I didn't come because I loved you, but I left because I wanted to. I read it twice. Then I folded it and placed it in the drawer. Not out of emotion, out of closure. Ayla would rebuild her life, her own way. And me? I finally understood a truth I should have learned as a boy. Some promises are meant to be broken, so you can save yourself from the person who made them. I locked the drawer, turned the sign to open, and walked back into a life that no longer waited for ghosts.
How could you do this?